Hi, YouTube. Welcome back to Brown Girl Blue. My name is Tabitha, and this is my little book of childhood JW memories. So, the next memory that I am going to talk about is my very first time of not just going in field service. So, field service, for those you don't know, field service is the ministry work that Jehovah's Witnesses do primarily on the weekends. Now, if you are someone who does that work full time, you're known as a pioneer, and they have different levels of pioneer to where you're doing a lot of hours each month in ministry work. But for regular families, usually it's done on the weekends. But most popular day is Saturday, and sometimes Sunday after the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall meeting. So anyway, I grew up going into field service. When I remember going as a small kid, I remember helping my parents, being the cute addition to the field service duo, my mom and my dad. And I would hand over some type of publication to the person they were speaking to, or just stand there and look cute. But eventually, it was time for me to learn the inner workings of being a field service publisher. That's the title of someone who's a general membership in a Jehovah's Witness religion. And I had to go and talk to a stranger with my parents there. But it was so terrifying for me. You gotta think that when you're a kid at that age, and I was in the first grade, so I was 6 or 7 years old, and you're told by your teachers and by your parents, don't talk to strangers. And what am I doing? I'm talking to a stranger. And my parents are there, but still so terrifying to go to someone's home that you don't know. And you have this, I had this memorized script, and my parents had been working with me for a while of learning what to say to talk about, various Jehovah's Witness topics. And I remember the topic that I was discussing that day was about living forever. And so I had my little Bible book bag with my Watchtower. Watchtower is an article, is a publication from the Jehovah's Witness organization. Another magazine is called The Awake. So these are just Jehovah's Witness publications that talk about world events, and they tie them into biblical interpretation and understanding from the Jehovah's Witness perspective. And so I had my publications, I had my little other like leaflets and different pamphlets and other materials like that in my little bag. And so I'm approaching the door. We get out we're so we lived in the country. So we're driving, and we pull to the person's home. We get out the car, and I remember just being frozen with fear. I had my script. I knew what I was expected to say, but to go to someone's door, a home that you don't know, and to have to give this line to them about what your parents taught you to say, it was really, really scary. I remember I felt so scared that I thought I was going to actually get sick. But anyway, so I go to the door, I have my parents with me, and I think I knocked on the door, I'm pretty sure. And I remember it was really cold that morning. And it was early. We started field service, and it was like we get there, we meet first as a group. And I think that was maybe 8 o'clock in the morning. I just remember it was early. It was really early. And so I'm thinking maybe 9 or maybe mid morning. It could have been early. I don't really remember the time. I just remember it was early. And so I knocked on the door, and you give the person some time to get to the door before you just don't give up after the first knock or the first ring the doorbell. And so I knocked on the door, and no one answered the door. And so my father said, "Oh, you need to knock again." And so I was like, "Okay." It's my little hand. I knocked again, and so I was waiting, and finally you got to hear some like movement in the house, that people were moving around. Again, it was early on Saturday morning. As an adult looking back on that, I'm like, they were they were working adults, so they probably were still sleeping in because it's the weekend. So they came to the door, and they knew that we were witnesses. Pretty obvious. They knew when witnesses were in the. It's not too many religions that do door-to-door ministry. So he answered the door, and they were a little annoyed, but they saw this cute little girl, and so I think that kind of melted away their frustration with the experience. And so I smiled a little bit, and I could tell they looked really tired and sleepy. But I was already with my script, and I remember I said, "Hi, my name is Tabitha, and I want to know, do you believe? Do you feel like? Do you think that you can? Do you want to know how to live forever?" And I remember the person there was like, "Well, I actually believe in heaven." And then my response was, "Well, I have a magazine that can show you how to live forever on this earth, and it will only cost 20 cents." And so the person was really nice. Said, "Okay, let me go and find you 20 cents." And so he came in with the money, gave me the money, and I handed him and I can't remember if it was an Awake or Watchtower. It was one of the two. But I gave the magazine, and then I got the money. I put it in my little Bible book bag, and I told him thank you. And I said, "Did you mind if we come back again?" And the guy said, "No, thank you. I'll just take the magazine." And I was like, "Okay, well, thank you for taking the magazine." And I was extremely proud of myself, and my mom was proud, my dad was proud, of course, because remember, this is part of their responsibilities as Jehovah's Witness parents, to raise their children to be to follow them and making sure they continue to do the door-to-door work. When we get back to the car, and my mom has a little I don't remember all the names of all the materials, but it was like a notebook or a ledger or some kind of record keeping she had, where she would write down, we had one Watchtower, and some information she wrote down at the time, but basically just recording that we had made this contact, and it was able to provide magazine to one of the people that we were at their home uninvited. So again, I was just so happy and so proud. But boy, just going to that door and having to do that, it just did not feel natural, and I never enjoyed it. That's something you grew up doing, so doing it on Saturdays, getting older, sometimes going to the homes of my school friends was always really, really embarrassing. Even though they knew that I was Jehovah's Witness because we went to the same school, and they knew that I didn't celebrate Christmas or birthdays or any other holidays, but to go to your school friend's home, in your true Jehovah's Witness form, and to do that, it just wasn't a good feeling for me. I didn't enjoy that part of it at all. What I think is interesting when I look back of going to strangers' homes to talk about whatever the script was for that month, whatever topic that we were focusing on. It's just such an interesting concept to have kids do that. When I think back of oh my gosh, that was so frightening to stop random people, to talk about Jehovah's Witness philosophies and doctrine, talking about giving the Watchtower or Awake, whatever that topic was for that magazine. It was just an odd feeling, and it didn't feel nice, and I didn't enjoy it. I guess the one thing that I did get from that is I'm not afraid to speak to people, so I'm a natural conversationalist. But just in hindsight of think about my experiences as a child, being taken to field service ministry, nearly every weekend, definitely every Saturday, and getting out and doing that work, it was just a bit nerve-wracking. It was a bit nerve-wracking and definitely caused me a lot of anxiety. I remember feeling so nervous the night before, on Friday evenings, knowing that we were going to go out and field service next day. I never had a good feeling. And the morning of, I always felt sick. When I look back at that, that was me having anxiety. I didn't understand it, but I did know that I didn't feel good. It definitely did not make me feel good getting ready to do that. So just another experience of when you are raised in the Jehovah's Witness religion as a child. That's definitely one of the expectations of you. And it can also become a bit of a competition. They don't do this anymore, but at that time, you would keep record. You would keep a timekeeping record of how many hours you did in a month in the field ministry work, and so it's a bit of a competition of, seeing who can, seeing who was doing what. Of course, there were those who did that full time. There was this real set expectation where they had to do so many hours a month in order to keep that status. But for the general member, I remember for publisher, you had to do some, and I don't think there was a set hours, and it may be. I really just don't remember. But I know as a family, my parents were not pioneers. They were general members. My dad did have a leadership position in the Kingdom Hall, known as an elder, which is like a pastor in a more traditional church setting. But as far as our field ministry hours, I believe that we were always just, general publisher status. And so we just had to get some time. I think it was like maybe 10 hours, a minimum of 10 hours, I think. If you know, please definitely share that in the chat. I just know that we did go fairly regularly each month because that was an expectation as we were doing something. It just didn't have to be the higher number of hours of somebody who did it full time. If they were a full time missionary, they had to do, I think like 90 hours was the minimum that they could do to keep that status. But as a kid, doing those first few times was absolutely nerve wracking, and I always had a level of anxiety when I would have to go out and do that and do the field, door-to-door field ministry work when I was in that religion with my family. So that's just another unlocked story of my little book of Joe's Witness Childhood Memories. There'll be more to come, but for today, since it's Saturday, it just got me thinking about, oh yeah, I remember on Saturdays, that was a normal activity to go out in the field service and doing door-to-door ministry work. That's it for today. Thank you for watching Brown Girl Blue. Look out for the next episode, but until then, have a great day. Bye.